The setting was modest, a small private room behind the stage of a leadership summit in Atlanta. No flashing lights, no cameras, just two men sitting in leather chairs by a low table, sipping black coffee. Denzel Washington leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees. Vin Diesel sat across from him, unusually quiet, eyes fixed on the floor. The air between them was still, yet charged with something deeper than words. "You okay?" Denzel asked gently, his voice like a father's. Ving nodded, then shook his head. "No," he said, "I'm not." The room grew heavier. "You know what's crazy?" Ving said. "I've done all these big films, traveled the world, got the cars, the respect, the name, but some nights, man, I lie in bed and feel like I'm still that lost kid from New York, still trying to prove I belong." Denzel didn't respond immediately. He waited present, still, grounded. Vang went on. "People think I'm strong. They think because I play tough guys, I must be one. But strength isn't screaming or fighting. Real strength," he said, voice cracking, "is not giving up when you've got nothing left." Denzel finally spoke. "You're right. Strength isn't loud. It doesn't boast. It shows up quietly, every day, even when the world isn't watching." He told Veng about his own valleys, times he doubted his calling, felt overlooked, questioned if the roles he played made any difference at all. Acting is a tool, Veng, but the real work, that happens when the lights go out. When someone hears your story and decides to keep going because of it. Veng nodded slowly. He opened up about Paul Walker again. The memories, the guilt, the way his laughter echoed even in silence. "He was light," Veng whispered. "And when he died, it felt like the world got a little darker. I tried to be strong for the team, for the fans, but inside, I was just tired, real tired." Denzel leaned forward. "You don't need to carry all of it. You don't have to be everyone's anchor, Veng. Sometimes it's okay to just float." There was a long silence. Then Veng said, "One time I was filming overseas, feeling lost again. I walked past a little church. Nothing special, no signs, no crowd. But I stepped in, sat in the back, and just listened. I didn't understand the sermon. It was in another language, but I felt it, like something was holding me." Denzel smiled softly. "That's what faith is. It doesn't always speak your language, but it speaks your soul." Veng looked up, eyes misted. "I used to think pain was punishment, that it meant I'd failed somehow. But now I wonder if it's permission to grow, to evolve." Denzel's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Denzel smiled softly. "That's what faith is. It doesn't always speak your language, but it speaks your soul." Veng looked up, eyes misted. "I used to think pain was punishment, that it meant I'd failed somehow. But now I wonder if it's permission to grow, to evolve." Denzel's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "Pain is a teacher, one we don't ask for, but one who always shows up when we need to learn." They spoke then about the quiet power of kindness. About fans who had written letters saying their movies had helped them survive depression, break addiction, leave abusive relationships. Veng told a story about visiting a children's hospital anonymously. He spent an hour with a 9-year-old boy who had seen Fast and Furious dozens of times. When I got up to leave, he hugged me and said, "You make me feel brave." I cried in the elevator. Denzel didn't blink ... That's the work. That's the legacy. We're not building careers. We're building hope. Before they parted, Denzel reached into his jacket and handed Veng a folded slip of paper. On it was a single line, handwritten, "Your gift isn't what you do. It's what you give others permission to believe about themselves." Veng stood silently for a long time. Then he said, "I'm gonna carry that with me. Not in my wallet, in my bones." They hugged not as movie stars, not as legends, but as men who had seen fire and chosen to walk through it anyway. In that room, something sacred happened. Not a sermon, not a spectacle. Just a moment of truth between two human beings who understood what it meant to be strong and still healing. Veng remained seated long after Denzel left. The hum of the air conditioning was the only sound. His fingers clutched the paper Denzel had given him, a line that now felt etched into his bones. "Your gift isn't what you do. It's what you give others permission to believe about themselves." He whispered it aloud, not for anyone else, but for himself. And then something shifted, not outside, but deep within. A warmth spread through his chest, not unlike grief, but gentler, like the echo of a voice that had always been there, just waiting for the silence to speak. He looked upward, not at the ceiling, but through it. "God, is this it? Is this what you've been trying to show me all along?" Memories poured in, not of red carpets or action scenes, but of quieter things. The hug from a mother who had just buried her son, but said Vin's movie gave her an hour of peace. The kid in the wheelchair who mouthed, "I live my life a quarter mile at a time, with so much fire it moved everyone to tears." The homeless man outside a hotel in Detroit who didn't want money, only a handshake and a moment to say thank you for not giving up. Those weren't coincidences, they were assignments. Veng Diesel wasn't chosen for fame. He was chosen for presence, for being the man who could walk through pain and still look someone in the eye and say, "You'll get through this too." He was never meant to be worshipped. He was meant to witness, to testify not in sermons, but in scars, in the way he loved fiercely, in the way he protected people who had no one, in the way he never let his past become an excuse for closing his heart. He whispered again, this time with conviction, "My pain isn't my punishment. It's my purpose." That night, he didn't go back to the hotel. He drove. No destination. Just the road, the stars above, and the quiet voice of something bigger than him, something holy, telling him to keep showing up. Because somewhere out there, someone was still watching, still listening, still waiting for proof that broken men can still carry light. And Veng, he was ready.